Today I'm going to be working on a 2000 Saturn LW1. The complaint is that there are no lights on the dash, so we're going to cycle the key on. Lights on the radio come on. Got the door open. Okay. Okay, well they're working right now. Alright, so as you can see, here's the dimmer switch right here. And I'm just going to roll it up and down just a little bit. You can see those lights are, there we go. So that's what she's dealing with. Try and drive at night with absolutely no lights on. And I'll turn off the lights just so you can see. That's basically what it's like driving at night. You can barely see that radio is lit. But there are absolutely no lights on the dash. Now if I kind of play with the dimmer switch a little bit, I can get them to stay on, but while you're driving and it's bumping and you're bumping around up and down, these lights are just going freaking nuts. So I'm sure that it's a dimmer switch issue. Even in the full-on position, if I press this inward, I can still get those lights to flicker. So it seems like whatever issue there is, it's definitely because of this potentiometer. Any dimmer switch is going to be a rheostat or a potentiometer. And that basically just works on resistance. And the same thing with the radio. All of the control lights all over the place. You can imagine as she's driving this car, her lights are flickering and freaking spazzing out. Now she has an OEM radio. If you have an OEM radio, on some vehicles the dimmer is built into the radio, and as you can see, all the controls on this one will also dim. But on some vehicles like the 626, it's only the LCD that is dimmable, and that's only on the OEM factory radio. On some aftermarket head units, you can hook in a dimmer so that when you mess with your dimmer, it also dims your aftermarket radio. But not all aftermarket radios have that capability. What we need to do is find a way to get in here and at this switch, and I'm not sure what the best way to do that. I might actually need to remove this knee panel and come at it from behind. I don't want to just take a screwdriver and try and pry this out. Just to be safe, I'm going to take off this knee panel and then come at it from behind and try and pop it out in the back. That way I don't mar up any of these surfaces. Well, that's neat. There are no screws associated with this panel. This whole panel just pops off. It's got clips. How cool is that? Yeah, dirty. There is a screw. Looks like a Torx. Just one Torx, and I imagine this whole thing will pop right out. Looks like a T15 Torx. Alright, now we got our Torx screw out. Oh, looks like this entire vent wants to come off. But this whole thing looks like it just wants to pull right out. And there's your wiring. And that's what I want to get at. All you have to do is take off this connector, then push these two black tabs in on the side like that, and the entire thing just shoots right out the front. Really easy. These look like GM style connectors. I need 2 hands for that. Alright, you have to pry up these tiny little locking tabs from around that harness in order to disconnect it. These things are a pain in the ass to deal with. They're so tiny, and you have to click on that tiny little tab in the middle there and push up, and it's a lot easier said than done. That took me about 2 or 3 minutes. What a pain in the ass. I hate GM. Sorry for the bad lighting, but now you have to get a little pick tool in here and pry up on that clip. Maybe I can get you some better lighting here. So there's a little clip on the side here that you got to get a pick tool down, wedge open, and the harness just comes off after that. So let's take a look at our connection. All the pins look pretty good. I don't think that's the issue. Wiring looks pretty good, far back as I can see anyway. I'll just take a quick look back here, see if I can see anything obvious. Nothing that really jumps out at me. Everything looks pretty good there. Everything up to the wiring harness should be pretty good. And I'm sure that if I probe these, I would get good 12 volts on that. My guess is it's going to be the potentiometer in here. So let's go take a look at that. In order to remove this, you just flip it right over, grab these 2 prongs, and it just shoots right out the front. Now we need to get this top piece off. Alright, that's one side. Well, the actual contact points still look pretty good. Bend these out just a little bit. I'm hoping that should do it. The problem is that this wheel becomes loose over time. And it's not because of where it's sitting, it's because these two tiny little prongs here become loose over time. And that allows the wheel to spin freely. So all you have to do, hopefully, is just push these back out. And that way when it sits up against the sidewall there, it actually provides more pressure. So the button should feel firmer and it should make better contact. That's the theory anyway. That's what I'm going with, and that's how I'm going to approach this. Now that I've bent my contacts out, I'm just going to try and slide this back in there. And it slides in a semicircle on that track. Does it feel a little firmer? It's got a little bit more free play than I would like. I'm going to keep going in there. I'm going to bend those prongs again until this feels really firm. And when it's really firm, that means it's going to be making really good contact. I'll just keep at it. And if you're wondering what this blank is, on some models of the Saturn L-Series, this is a trunk release switch. And I'm guessing it's electronic. So that's pretty neat. I didn't even know that was available. Maybe I can modify that in somehow. Alright, so we're good there. So I'll go ahead and try and pop that back in there. Oh, definitely easier to come out than to put back in. Click. Let's go install it. Before I just go and screw everything down, of course, I want to test out the potentiometer. And if this does not work, then I'm just going to have to go buy a new potentiometer or a new dimmer switch. That's about as good of a fix as you can get. If either one of those tiny little metal contact points inside the dimmer switch are broken, you're gonna need a new dimmer switch. There's no way around it. In my case, they were both there and I could bend them and hopefully reinstall. Alright, I just have it sitting in there loose. Now I'm pressing inward on it and trying to get these things to flicker now. And they're not flickering. I mean, that's just me winding up. There we go. See, if I push in this button and I barely make contact with it, it just goes nuts. As long as it's in the full up position, I can't get that to flicker, which is definitely an improvement over how it was. But if it's on the full low position, those contacts have run off that track, or the track is non-existent anymore in the low position. So as long as I keep that in the high position, I think she'll be good. It's not exactly a perfect fix, it will work. Now, nobody really cares about the full down position. When are you really going to use that? I mean, there's almost no light in there to begin with. So of course, when you're driving at night, you're going to want those fully illuminated. So as long as it works in the fully illuminated position, you're okay. I think we'll be okay here. As long as she doesn't move it down or try and adjust this dimmer switch and just keeps it in the full position, she'll be alright for a long time to come. I'm going to call that one semi-fix. It's not with the quality results that I was hoping for, which would have been perfect all the way around, you know, even in the low position. You know, I'll take what I can get. It'll work. That's all there is to fixing your dimmer switch on a Saturn L-Series, and that should go for just about any L-Series Saturn. So I'm going to call that a fix. Cool.